For decades, you were told the same thing again and again. Eat eggs. They're cheap. They're packed with protein. They're perfect for muscle. But what if that advice is outdated, incomplete, and quietly failing millions of older bodies? Here's the uncomfortable truth most people never hear. After a certain age, your body stops responding to protein the way it used to. Foods that once built strength start producing weaker results. Muscles don't grow. Recovery slows down. Balance slips. Legs feel heavy. Grip strength fades. And people assume it's just old age. It isn't. It's underfeeding disguised as good advice. Out of 3,197 foods studied for how well they help seniors build and preserve muscle, only 10 actually stood out. Not supplements. Not fancy powders. Everyday foods. Cheap foods. Foods sitting ignored on grocery shelves. And eggs? They didn't even make the final list. Not because eggs are useless, but because aging bodies absorb egg protein far less efficiently than they're told. The protein spike is short, incomplete, and poorly timed. Muscles stay hungry, while cholesterol quietly stacks in the background for many older adults. The result is predictable. People eat, right, yet get weaker anyway. Meanwhile, there are foods that rebuild muscle faster than eggs, even in the 70s and 80s. Foods that feed muscles slowly, repair overnight damage, reduce inflammation, and support balance and independence instead of erosion. You will rarely hear this discussed honestly. Stronger seniors need fewer walkers, fewer surgeries, fewer prescriptions. There's no profit in that. But the science is clear, whether it's comfortable or not. These foods don't just slow muscle loss. They can stop it, and in many cases, reverse it. And when researchers analyzed the data, one food shocked them so deeply it ended up near the top. It triggered new muscle fiber growth in adults over 75, something most doctors quietly assume is no longer possible. Before we go any further, pause for a moment and ask yourself something uncomfortable. How old are you, really, in your body? Are your legs weaker than they used to be? Do you recover slower from simple activity? Is balance becoming unreliable? Those are not personality traits. They're signals. And the foods you choose either answer those signals or ignore them. Now let's start where most lists bury the lead. Food number 10. Cottage cheese. Cottage cheese looks boring. No glossy packaging. No hype. No status attached to it. That's exactly why most people underestimate it. For older adults, cottage cheese is one of the most effective muscle repair foods available without a prescription or laboratory. Its power comes from something eggs cannot offer properly with age. Slow digestion. Cottage cheese is rich in casein protein, a form of protein that releases amino acids gradually over several hours instead of dumping them all at once. This matters more than most people realize. Muscle repair does not happen during meals. It doesn't even happen during exercise. It happens later, quietly, while you sleep. Eggs create a short protein surge, then disappear. By midnight, muscles are running on empty. Cottage cheese keeps feeding muscle tissue through the entire night, precisely when recovery is most active. 1 cup delivers around 25 grams of protein, alongside calcium and phosphorus that strengthen bones and reduce fracture risk, a non-negotiable concern as stability declines with age. This is not theory. Take Helen, 72. She didn't start lifting weights. She didn't change her routine. She didn't buy supplements. She added half a cup of cottage cheese in the evening. Within weeks, morning stiffness faded. Her legs no longer felt locked when she stood up. Energy didn't vanish by midday. The constant low-level ache that followed her every morning quietly backed off. Her muscles were not suddenly stronger. They were finally being fed correctly. Research published in the British Journal of Nutrition confirms this effect. Seniors consuming casein before sleep showed significantly higher overnight muscle protein synthesis compared to those who didn't. Plain language? Muscles were actively repairing instead of slowly wasting away. Cottage cheese also brings an advantage eggs lack entirely. Probiotics. As we age, digestion weakens. Nutrient absorption drops. Protein intake means nothing if your gut can't process it well. Cottage cheese supports gut health, improving how efficiently your body actually uses what you eat. And here is the part nobody sells because it isn't exciting. Cottage cheese costs very little, requires no cooking, fits into any routine. No powder, no prep, no excuses. It is boring food with ruthless effectiveness. And if that caught you off guard, the next food will challenge something even deeper. Because number 9 doesn't just build muscle. It quietly fights the inflammation that's been stealing your strength every single day. If muscle loss were only about protein, aging would be simple. Eat more, lift a little, problem solved. But that's not reality. For seniors, muscle decline is rarely caused by protein alone. It's driven by something far more destructive and far less obvious. Chronic, low-grade inflammation. It doesn't scream. It doesn't crash. It slowly erodes strength from the inside. Joints ache for no clear reason. Recovery takes longer. Balance becomes unreliable. Muscles stop responding the way they used to. And here's the brutal part. Some high-protein foods actually fuel this inflammation, even while pretending to help. That's why the next 2 foods matter so much. They don't just feed muscle. They remove the invisible brakes holding it back. Food number 9. Tofu. Tofu has a reputation problem. People think it's bland, soft, weak. That assumption couldn't be more wrong, especially after 60. Tofu delivers complete protein, all 9 essential amino acids, which many plant foods fail to do. Half a cup gives roughly 10 grams of clean, absorbable protein without the baggage that often comes with heavy animal products. But the protein isn't even the main reason tofu made this list. The real power sits in its isoflavones. As the body ages, certain hormones drop sharply. When that happens, muscle breakdown accelerates, bones weaken, and recovery slows down dramatically. Isoflavones help stabilize this decline by gently supporting hormonal balance without overstimulation. That matters. When hormones crash, muscle loss speeds up. When balance returns, decline slows. Walter, 76, noticed this unexpectedly. He didn't add tofu to become healthier. He added it because heavy meat started making him feel sluggish. Twice a week, he swapped fried meats for baked tofu. Within a month, his joints complained less. His morning walks felt smoother. Recovering after activity stopped feeling like punishment. There was no heaviness sitting in his stomach, no inflammation dragging him down afterward. Science supports this change. Research published in the Journal of Nutrition found that older adults who regularly consumed soy protein preserved more lean muscle mass than those relying only on animal sources. Tofu also contributes calcium and magnesium, minerals essential for muscle contraction, nerve signaling, and preventing cramps. When these minerals drop, muscles fire late, weak, or not at all. That's when falls happen. Tofu is light on calories, filling enough to support weight management, and flexible in how it's used. Stir-fried, grilled, baked, blended. It adapts instead of demanding effort. Eggs may spike cholesterol for some seniors. Tofu quietly feeds muscle without the collateral damage. And if tofu quietly improves performance, the next food does something different. It supplies stamina, the kind that keeps your legs from giving out halfway through the day. Food number 8. Chickpeas. Chickpeas are not glamorous. They don't shout protein. They don't promise miracles. That's why they're underestimated. 1 cup delivers about 15 grams of protein, but the real strength of chickpeas sits in what surrounds that protein. Complex carbohydrates, fiber, minerals that power endurance. For seniors, energy crashes are deadly to consistency. Muscles don't adapt if activity stops halfway through the day because fuel ran out. Chickpeas release energy slowly, steadily, without spikes and crashes. Isabel, 70, learned this the practical way. Lunch used to wipe her out. White bread sandwiches left her heavy, tired, unfocused. She replaced them with chickpea salads a few times per week. Within weeks, afternoon fatigue disappeared. Walks felt stronger. Carrying groceries no longer triggered trembling hands. The energy didn't surge. It stayed. Research published in Nutrients shows that diets rich in legumes significantly improve muscle endurance and physical performance in older adults. Why? Because chickpeas provide magnesium for muscle contractions, zinc for tissue repair, folate for cellular energy, and fiber that stabilizes blood sugar instead of sabotaging it. Eggs feed muscle briefly. Chickpeas support the entire system muscles depend on. They're gentle on digestion, cholesterol-free, affordable, and endlessly usable. Roasted, blended, stirred, mashed. For the price of pennies, they deliver strength that lasts through the day. But endurance alone isn't enough. Muscle also needs protection. Protection from the inflammation that silently stiffens joints and slows recovery night after night. That's where the next food steps in. Food number 7. Canned sardines. Sardines are small. Their impact is not. One serving delivers over 20 grams of high-quality protein. But more importantly, it delivers a heavy dose of omega-3 fatty acids. For seniors, inflammation is the enemy you never see coming. It slows recovery. It stiffens tissue. It weakens strength gradually until movement feels risky. Omega-3s reduce this damage at the source. Sardines also bring a rare nutritional combination, vitamin D and calcium together, strengthening bone density so new muscle actually has something stable to attach to. Frank, 78, resisted them for months. Then he tried sardines twice a week. Gardening stopped, leaving his legs aching. Evening walks became easier. Stamina returned quietly. Not explosively, but reliably. The American Journal of Clinical Nutrition reports that seniors who regularly consume omega-3 rich fish develop greater muscle mass and strength than those who don't. Omega-3s enhance muscle protein synthesis, meaning your body becomes more efficient at actually using the protein you eat. Add vitamin B12 for nerve health, and suddenly muscles respond faster, contract cleaner, and feel more coordinated. And the practical upside? Sardines are cheap, shelf-stable, zero cooking required. For seniors with limited energy or mobility, that matters. But feeding muscle and calming inflammation still isn't enough on its own. Muscles need fuel that doesn't burn out early, which leads directly to number 6. A food that feeds strength slowly, steadily, and deeply. Muscles don't fail first. Energy fails first. Before strength disappears, before balance collapses, before walking feels risky, something quieter happens. Muscles stop getting reliable fuel. Not sugar spikes, not quick fixes. Real, steady energy that keeps tissue alive long enough to rebuild. That's why the next foods matter. They don't excite the system. They support it hour by hour. Food number 6. Millet. Millet looks unimpressive. Small grains. Pale color. Often dismissed as animal feed or survival food. That dismissal is ignorance. Millet is one of the most overlooked muscle-supporting grains available to seniors. One cooked cup delivers plant protein, magnesium, iron, and slow-releasing carbohydrates that stabilize energy instead of exhausting it. This matters more after 70 than it did at 40. Muscles don't need spikes anymore. They need continuity. Harold, 81, felt this shift clearly. For years, breakfast meant white toast. Easy, familiar, and useless by late morning. He replaced it with a warm bowl of millet porridge topped with nuts. Weeks later, standing up stopped feeling shaky. Stairs felt manageable again. The trembling that used to creep in before noon stayed away. Not because millet is magical, but because it feeds muscles long enough to matter. Research in the Journal of Food Science and Technology shows that millet-based diets stabilize blood glucose and improve nutrient absorption, both critical for muscle recovery and fatigue reduction in older adults. Magnesium relaxes overworked muscle fibers. Iron delivers oxygen so muscles can actually function. Eggs give protein. Millet keeps that protein usable throughout the day. Millet is also gluten-free, easy to digest, and cheap. It doesn't demand perfection. It works quietly in the background, which is exactly what older bodies need. But fueling muscle is still only half the battle. If connective tissue fails, strength doesn't matter. And that's where number 5 enters. Food number 5. Muscles. Muscles suffer from one problem. They look fancy. People assume they're expensive, complicated, or unnecessary. That assumption costs senior strength. A single serving delivers over 18 grams of high-quality protein, plus omega-3s, vitamin B12, zinc, and taurine, a compound shown to protect aging muscle tissue. This combination does something eggs don't. It strengthens the entire chain. Muscle fibers, connective tissue, nerve signaling. Clara, 69, noticed this unexpectedly. She'd avoided shellfish her entire life. Once a week, she tried a simple mussel dish. Nothing dramatic. No lifestyle overhaul. Within a month, grip strength improved. Lifting pots felt easier. Morning walks felt steadier. The weakness in her hands retreated quietly. Research published in the Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults consuming shellfish like mussels increased lean muscle mass and improved grip strength, one of the strongest predictors of independence and longevity. Vitamin B12 keeps nerves firing cleanly. Zinc supports hormones tied to muscle preservation. Taurine protects tissue from degeneration. Mussels don't just feed muscle. They preserve coordination. They cook fast. They cost less than many meats. And they deliver dense nutrition without heaviness. But even muscle and connective tissue repair aren't enough if oxidative damage keeps attacking from within. That's why number 4 shocked researchers. Food number 4. Nori doesn't look powerful. Thin sheets. Lightweight. Almost fragile. That's deception. Nori delivers protein, iodine, magnesium, vitamin C, and concentrated amino acids in a form aging bodies absorb easily. It also provides antioxidants that neutralize oxidative stress, one of the biggest accelerators of muscle breakdown. Robert, 73, didn't change his diet much. He just replaced crackers with roasted nori sprinkled over soups. Weeks later, stiffness eased. Balance improved. Walking felt lighter. Nothing dramatic. Just steady improvement. Studies published in Marine Drugs show that seaweed like nori contains bioactive peptides proven to enhance muscle performance and reduce inflammation in older adults. Add iodine for thyroid function, taurine for muscle protection, and omega-3s for recovery. And suddenly these thin green sheets outperform foods 10 times their size. Nori doesn't burden digestion. It doesn't spike blood sugar. It doesn't demand effort. Snack on it. Crumble it. Wrap it. Tiny input. Massive return. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most seniors are not undereating protein. They are undereating supporting nutrients. And that damage accumulates. Which brings us to the final stretch. The last 3 foods don't just repair muscle. They change how muscles feel when you move. Number 3 hydrates tissue from the inside. Number 2 restores circulation. Number 1 shocked researchers by rebuilding muscle in adults over 75. This is where assumptions finally collapse. By this point, one thing should be clear. Muscle loss is not a cliff. It's a slow leak. And most people try to fix leaks by pouring harder, protein powders, heavier meals, bigger portions. That fails, because muscles don't just need building blocks. They need flow, water inside tissue, oxygen to fibers, signals that let muscle contract smoothly instead of stiffly. That's where the next 2 foods operate. Not on muscle size, but on muscle quality. Food number 3, spirulina. Spirulina doesn't come from soil or pasture. It comes from mineral-rich water. And that alone should tell you something. Spirulina is one of the most concentrated natural protein sources on the planet. 2 tablespoons deliver around 8 grams of complete protein, plus iron, B vitamins, and powerful antioxidants like phycocyanin. But protein isn't what earns spirulina its place here. Hydration is. As we age, muscles lose water content. Tissue gets denser. Movements feel heavy. Standing up feels like lifting weight that shouldn't be there. Spirulina helps reverse that. Margaret, 75, added 1 teaspoon to her morning smoothie. That's it. Weeks later, her endurance changed. Stairs stopped stealing her breath. Walks stopped triggering leg ache. Not because she tried harder, but because oxygen delivery finally improved. Research in the Journal of Medicinal Food shows that spirulina supplementation improves muscle endurance and reduces fatigue in older adults by enhancing oxygen transport and reducing oxidative stress. Phycocyanin protects muscle cells from damage. Iron improves oxygen delivery. B vitamins support energy metabolism. Eggs offer protein. Spirulina restores function. It also stabilizes blood sugar. That matters more than most people think. Unstable blood sugar equals shaky legs, crashes, and false fatigue. Spirulina smooths that curve quietly. Yes, it looks strange. Yes, it's green. You don't eat it for beauty. You use it because it works, and the amount needed is tiny. But hydration alone still isn't enough if blood flow stays weak. Which leads to number 2. Food number 2, earth almonds, tiger nuts. Despite the name, earth almonds are not nuts. They're small tubers, dense, chewy, and brutally underestimated. A handful delivers resistant starch, magnesium, potassium, and plant protein. But the real impact comes from one compound, arginine. Arginine boosts nitric oxide production, which widens blood vessels and improves circulation. Better circulation means more oxygen, more nutrients, and faster waste removal from muscle tissue. In short, muscles get what they need before they fail. Dolores, 79, swapped afternoon cookies for tiger nuts. 1 month later, the heaviness in her legs faded. Stairs stopped feeling punishing. Nighttime cramps almost disappeared. Research published in the Journal of Food Science and Technology confirms that tiger nuts reduce muscle inflammation and improve endurance, largely due to mineral density and circulation support. Magnesium prevents painful spasms. Potassium stabilizes contractions. Fiber improves digestion, so protein actually gets absorbed instead of wasted. You can eat them dry, soak them, blend them into milk. They store easily, cost little, and work consistently. And now, we reach the final food, the one that surprised researchers, the one most people have never heard of, the one that challenges the idea that muscle rebuilding stops after 75. By now, one thing should feel uncomfortably clear. Muscle loss was never inevitable. It was misunderstood. People were told to eat harder, work harder, accept decline. What they should have done was feed smarter. The final food on this list doesn't scream power. It doesn't dominate shelves. Most people walk past it without a second glance. That's exactly why it shocked researchers. Food number 1, teff. Grain teff is tiny. So small it looks insignificant next to rice, wheat, or oats. That assumption is the mistake. Teff is one of the most nutrient-dense grains ever studied, and for seniors, it fills gaps most diets never address. 1 cooked cup delivers around 10 grams of protein, iron, calcium, magnesium, and crucially, lysine, an amino acid most grains lack. Lysine matters more than protein quantity. It fuels collagen production. It stabilizes joints. It anchors muscle fibers to bone. Without it, strength leaks through tissue failure even if muscle size looks fine. Leonard, 82, replaced white rice with teff porridge 3 times per week. What changed wasn't strength first. It was confidence. Standing up no longer felt risky. Balance improved. His legs felt lighter, more reliable. That heaviness people accept as age quietly retreated. Research published by the International Society of Sports Nutrition found that teff improves hemoglobin levels, enhancing oxygen delivery to muscle tissue. Better oxygen means stronger contractions and slower fatigue. Teff also elevates calcium and magnesium intake, reducing fracture risk and preventing cramps that destabilize gait. It is naturally gluten-free, easy to digest, affordable, and flexible. Porridge, flatbread, thickener, side dish, small grain, massive impact, which brings everything full circle. Eggs aren't evil. They're just incomplete for aging bodies. Strength after 60 isn't about more protein. It's about availability, flow, repair, and support. Most seniors weren't losing muscle. They were starving it selectively. And now, you know better. Here's the uncomfortable question. How long will you wait to act on it? Which of these foods are you already eating? Which one will you try first? Drop your age and your choice in the comments. We read everyone. We respond to everyone. Not for engagement, but because someone else reading might recognize themselves in your words and finally make a change. If this opened your eyes, share it with someone who needs stronger legs, steadier balance, and fewer limits. Subscribe if you want honest information without sugarcoating. Your best years are not behind you. They were just underfed.